Oh, yeah. Welcome to Get Go. Billy Marshall, alias Stoneking, is in the house.
Grab your cupcakes and let's get go.
Reminds me of Woodstock.
We are. Thank you, Billy. Hey, welcome, guys, and thank you to Tony LaRue, who's made these very delicious cupcakes for us.
Tony LaRue.
Who also
Can
happens
we have
to be the
them now?
beloved of
We
our
can have them.
Jamie.
Yeah, great.
Oh, I'm going to talk and eat during the clips.
Yeah,
Thank you, though, Tony. Hey, we've got a great show lined up. We're going to be talking more to Billy, who is a fantastic writer-producer, has done many, many projects, including a project that he's collaborated with Bernie. So we're going to hear about that. And
We
what
call
she's
ourselves the Driver Brothers.
Driver Brothers.
The Driver Brothers, all right, Driver Brothers. You'll be driving at home today on Get Go. So looking forward to that. Yeah. We'll be crossing to New York soon to talk to Marco, who's also with Penny. And they're going to be filling us in with what's going on over there. It's Primaries Tuesday for New York State tomorrow.
Oh, we're looking forward to the burn tonight. Oh, my God.
Exactly.
Oh,
You excited for Bernie?
I have a dream.
Bernie's excited for Bernie.
Why do we get so excited about foreign politics?
Because it's Bernie.
It's Bernie.
It's all about changing the world. If he gets in to be president, you know, it changes everything.
It does.
And
But he won't, you know.
Do you think it's the same as Obama getting in? And he changed things. He's equally as.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been fantastic from an outsider's point of view. He's been amazing. I would have loved
100%.
him as a prime minister.
But then everybody was excited about Malcolm coming in and saying Malcolm's going to change the world for us.
We gave him a chance.
But no, the thing is, Malcolm's got his hands tied. That's the whole thing. So
he doesn't have any brains.
He doesn't.
He
doesn't.
He does.
It's
He does. Look, again, it's all opinion-based and it gets people really fired up, and that's exciting. But I suppose a big thing for us is that America influences our culture so much.
Yeah.
Always has,
Yeah.
and that's probably why we get fired up.
We're sick of the government not governing for the people. That's the thing, and it's money politics, and it's just as bad as here in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Should we go to the States?
Let's talk, because I also...
I'll make the call.
You make the call. I also wanted to hear
call.
how Axl Rose, being the new frontman of AC/DC, is going off in the States, because, of course, it's Coachella Festival at the moment.
What was that family thinking? Because it's run by the Young family, right?
Really?
Yeah.
What, the whole AC/DC
The whole
band?
AC/DC thing is run by
That's
the
right,
Young
because
family.
you worked with Albert.
Yeah, I work with Alberts, and it's a very, very closed kind of, very private, ironically, a very, very private kind of thing, the whole AC/DC thing, and it's very family oriented, and they're very, very, very business-like, you know?
So I would love to know the background of why they chose Axl.
Well, yeah, I mean, that'd be incredible.
We'll see what the vibe is from
and
the
he's in
States.
a wheelchair too, Axl.
Yeah,
He's got an
what's
Axl under him right now.
Wow.
Does anyone know
And I
why Axl is in a wheelchair?
No.
Don't know,
If
but
you do, Facebook
So
us
we've
and let us
got
know.
the guys from New York on the line.
Oh.
Let me just give me.
Are they at the New York Library?
Let's just have a look at this, shall we?
What's going on?
He's done. And
Oh, there's Marco, looking very svelte in his black suit. G'day, Marco. Hang on, we just need to get some audio. Sorry, Marco, we can't hear you, but I like that smooth little walk down the stairs.
So we're here outside the New York Public Library. You probably know it from the opening shots and several other shots from the Ghostbuster film. I didn't know until I started looking at it today was before it was the library, this was a reservoir, and before that it was a potter's field, which is where they bury the poor people who can't afford their own cemetery.
Oh, really?
Are you
So it now
serious?
explains the whole thing of why it was infected with ghosts, right? Why it was possessed by ghosts.
That's genius. I had no idea. Now, Marco, isn't Ghostbusters coming out again? They've done a remake?
So they're doing a remake, an all-female remake.
Really? But
I
what
was
about
gonna
Chris
say, Which
Hemsworth?
Ghostbusters do we emulate? Say again?
Wasn't Chris Hemsworth supposed to be in it, that I read somewhere?
That's possible, I don't know. But the main Ghostbusters are 4 girls.
That's wild.
It's Melissa McCarthy, Kirsten Wiig. I'm sorry, I don't.
It's going to be
I don't know
hilarious.
the other ones.
That's all you
Going
need to
into the
say
film.
anyway. I've got the whole vibe of it anyway. You're looking really, really svelte today, Marco.
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
going on? Are
really
you
dapper.
working out? That's a compliment, by the
Got a
way.
haircut. Thank
Oh, that's what it is. Looks good.
I should obviously get one more often if it makes much of a difference.
And haven't you got the lovely Penny with you today as well?
I have the lovely Penny, my producer Penny, here on the other side, trying to pull it all together.
Can we
for
say
us.
hi to Penny? Are we
We're
able to
doing the
do
wonderful
that?
pan shots that you saw just before.
Oh, okay. Hi, Penny.
Hey, Penny.
Everyone's saying hi to you. Penny can't hear you at all. She just hears silence and hears me talking.
Okay, what we wanted to... Hi, Pen. What we wanted to ask you about... Oh, thank you. Hi, New York City. What we wanted to ask you about first, Marco, is Axl Rose fronting up ACDC.
So just before we cut, sorry, I'm having a little trouble hearing you. I'll adjust my volume in a second. We just had a clash with another people from Fusion TV who were trying to shoot in our location here. So we had to scare them off so that they would leave us alone.
Rack off.
It's very competitive in New York City.
Well, you sound like you've definitely got the New York City thing going on, that you made them rack off. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I picked up arsehole long before I got here.
American.
Very good. I settled in very quickly here in New York.
That's fantastic.
I remember I only been to New York once, and I nearly bought the T-shirt. I wish I did, because I was in a hotel and they kept ringing me to make sure I pay for your condiments the day before you go.
Yeah.
And it's like I didn't drink anything from the bar or anything. And this went till 2 a.m., 2 a.m. 12. Just lost it. And I went downstairs to the concierge. Fuck off, you fucking fuck. And there was 20 people. There were 20 people in the reception area, and they all gave me a standing ovation.
Oh,
It's a New York thing.
Oh, I've lost
there
the
you
microphone.
go. Oh, Jamie, you get your microphone
I'll get my
back.
mic on, hang on.
Yeah, so what's going on? The Coachella Music Festival's happening. Axl Rose has been there. He apparently did a show with Slash, but the big news is he's fronting up AC/DC. So I'd love to get your perspective on how the vibe in the States is about that.
So it's kind of funny because he did Coachella, and I think you were asking about why he sat down through the whole concert. So he busted his foot. So and he got his foot in the thing, so he just sat through the whole thing. I think it was a Guns N' Roses get together or something like that.
That's right. He was with
They
Slash.
got back together for Coachella.
Yeah, so he's got the Axl under his bum
They're
now.
going to use him for the European tour to try and pull it together. But I mean, we're getting great headlines here of just like what, WTF and
Seriously,
and
yeah.
Actually, there was a great one of just why would you pick somebody who can't sing to front the band? You want to pick somebody reliable, and he's unreliable.
And he's wrong.
So over here, it's just as many question marks, I think, and what about in Australia? Are they sort of like, yeah, that's the right choice, or who cares? Or...
Oh, I think there's a massive backlash against it because he's just wrong on so many levels. I mean, you can't compare Guns N' Roses to AC/DC. It's
No.
It's
sacrilegious almost.
It's
Yeah,
the
I
wrong
agree.
style. It's a bit like jazz.
It's just wrong. He's American for a start. It's never going to. And I know you shouldn't be. That's inherently a racist statement, and I apologise for that.
Yep.
But there's a
Racist.
it just can't be. I don't know how else to put it. It just can't be.
I haven't spoken or heard from one person on
Needs to be
social
Scottish.
media that's excited about it.
No.
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
great.
I get looking for somebody who knows how to play stadiums, right? Because they need to be there straight away and know how to do a stadium right. But
Yeah.
I'm with you guys. It's just like, it's a different style of music. And while Akadaka has been, they've been hanging out, they practice in Florida these days when they're getting to tour and things like that. They spend a lot of time in the US. They're still not...
No, there's no artistic
that's the US
cohesion
band.
there.
Yeah.
There's no artistic cohesion there. They're from completely different aspects of that style and that genre of music.
So here's the trick question. Who should it have been, Jamie?
Oh.
Who should it have been?
Great question.
I've got a great question for that.
Yeah.
I've got a great answer for that. Nobody.
Nobody.
No, and the reason is Malcolm is not doing very, very well.
Right.
The rest of the other guys are really not original members. There's no Bon Scott anymore. Brian they got lucky with him, and that's the only way to, because look at NXS.
Yeah.
They tried, and those boys.
Yeah, I did that.
I spoke to them about that. I've got an interview that I did with the Farris brothers, and and they still love. You could still see that they love Michael like insanely. He was just such a part of them all these years later.
Yeah.
And I just think that they just need to bow out, and they just need to do their little things that they do. And forget about the fucking money.
I was about to say it's money, isn't it?
It's all about the money.
I actually reckon Dave Gleason would be amazing.
Dave Gleason, yeah,
What
but
do you
he's,
reckon?
But he's just taken over the Angels.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
No, I don't think so. I think there's some person there that's inherently the band, and we'll never know who they are because it's not. I don't think it's a famous person. I just think it's somebody there that gets them, and that can do it, and that can fit in with that family. and get it all done. I actually had I was at the Appras one night, and I had dinner with Angus and Malcolm's and George, their older brother from the Easy Beats mum. She was sitting next to me.
Oh, I had a guitar from the guy who played in the guitar before them.
Listen, you two, you little brush with fame.
And she was the most beautiful
Did
lady.
I just hear somebody drop the microphone at that end?
Yeah, that'd be
Someone got excited.
Yeah.
So and you know, it was an amazing experience.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's cool.
who else has had dinner with Angus and Malcolm's mum?
So that makes sense because you hear the stories that they own mansions and stuff like that, and they're
very well.
but they're very tidy business people.
Yeah,
There's a
smart.
story. The Angus and Malcolm's brother is George Young from the Easy Beats,
Yep.
right?
Right, yeah.
So Vandron Young. Now there's this story, and I'd heard this around the industry and whatnot, where basically one of them had seen this house, and it was on the harbour, and it was amazing, and it was beautiful, and all the rest. No, sorry, I'll start again.
Oh, another story.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
No,
Whilst Marco's chilling his nuts off out of
the
New
point.
York City Library.
Let's clarify.
very quickly.
We had a stunningly beautiful weekend and it's beautiful weather out right now.
Okay, good.
It's actually, so don't worry about
Global warming good for something. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Anyway, so one of them had bought a big house, and the other they'd seen this other house, you know, on the harbour. So the other person that didn't buy the big house walked up the door and said, "How much for your house?" And the guy looked at him and went, "What do you mean, how much for my house?" He said, "How much for your house?" He looked at him and went, "You don't look like you've got money to buy." He said, "How much for your house?" Call the bank manager. The bank manager went, "Yes, sir, I'll honour whatever he says." And the guy went, "Really? Whatever he said." And the guy went the amount, and then
What was the amount?
I don't know, and I don't know whether it was George or Harry that did
part of
it.
the story, yeah?
And he said, "Right, here's the check. Be out by Saturday." And so when I went to Albert's, I was talking to Harry Vander about it. And I said, "Did that actually happen?" He said, "Yep."
That's what rich and famous people
There you
do,
go.
Davey. Wow,
Yeah,
good
hey,
story.
if you got the money, do it. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like me. I went down to the corner shop this morning and it's like, I didn't care how much the croissant cost.
That's right. How much for the croissant?
How much was it?
I'm going to have that fine
How
croissant.
much was it?
How much was it?
Yeah.
Croissant. How much?
How much was the croissant?
$2.10.
Okay.
Oh, so much cheaper.
I know, right?
How much do we pay? $4 or $5?
Yeah, Bondi.
Bondi. Oh,
Yeah,
we have organic croissants at about what? $10.
Organic.
They're grown on a farm that doesn't use fertiliser.
That's right.
Exactly.
Organic kale.
Exactly.
Hey, Billy, do you have any suggestions for ACDC? Yeah.
I don't know anything about him.
Hilarious. Well, Marco says a big hello, Billy.
Hi, Marco.
So
Now-
we've swapped places, mate. You started in America and ended up in Australia. I started in Australia and ended up over here.
You did.
Yeah, but I lived here in a former lifetime. It's like a reunion.
It's a spiritual home.
You're part Aboriginal one.
Oh, well, I read my astrology chart when I was in America and I was about 18, and it said that Wagga Wagga and I had a spiritual affinity. And I didn't even know what Wagga Wagga was.
Well, I would have killed myself there and then.
That's right.
That means something from Italy, doesn't
Well, it led me here eventually.
Yeah.
That and the fact that the bumper sticker said "America, love it or leave it."
Good
it? So you
call.
left it.
Absolutely.
So if Billy, I got a question for you because I'm kind of curious because we're outside the library and everything. So what do you think is going to happen to libraries? Like they seem to be shutting down across America. They're closing them up. Do you think the library has a future and is it sad or good news?
I don't think the library ever had a future in America. America is into theater. It's always been into theater. Nothing is what it is. Everything symbolizes something else. Everything references something else. A table is not a table. A chair is not a chair. Everything is about something else. And so libraries, I just think that they were always doomed right from the start in the States.
That's a very trippy concept.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Marco?
So you're scoping that to the States, and they're worried about in England as well. I'm not sure if
Yeah, it's a thing here.
closing down in Australia.
It's a thing here.
And does it matter? You can have a library on a device in your hand now.
You can, yeah.
It's not a
Trying
library.
to work out. It's just I love libraries. I love books.
So do I.
Yeah. It's not a library. The thing you like about libraries is the smell.
The books.
Yeah, the smell. The first thing I do when I pick up a book is I smell it. And
Yeah.
then I decide whether I'm going to read it or not.
I do the same thing with comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, the smell
guys are
led me into
trippers.
Classics Illustrated.
Oh, I can't wait to see the film you two have created.
Shall we?
I want to quickly ask Marco something a little serious now. Of course, tomorrow your time is the New York primaries in the States.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, give us a rundown.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the quick blast. So you're absolutely correct. Tomorrow, New York decides. So today was the last day that the candidates were out and about. Bernie Sanders was over in Queens on the edge of the East River Tributary, and Hillary Clinton did her piece here at the Hilton Hotel up on 54th Street. Very different campaigns. It looks like Hillary's going to get the most votes out of that, but it's actually still, it can be a toss-up. It's looked like that in polls in other states, and Bernie ended up winning the state.
Okay.
So that one's close. One thing I will say that's interesting is if you go to the actual website of each candidate and look at the events today, on the Bernie Sanders website, it was sort of giving out buttons at subways and phone banks and things, it was sort of a personal touch in this large event over on the east side. On the Hillary Clinton side, there was phone banks in there. There wasn't any really mention of subways, and they were wine and cheese events.
Of course.
A couple of wine and cheese events there.
Of course.
Yeah, that's
So
the
I think
money.
in that you get the difference between the two candidates.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we have. Yep. Sorry, is that a question?
No.
Yeah, we're agreeing with you.
Okay, we've got Trump and Cruz and Kasich going as well. Cruz has tried to get some votes here. Trump knows he's going to win the vote, but the question is how many does he get? And, if he gets a lot here, it could be enough. It could just be enough to sort of push him through to not have a contested convention.
Wow, is it that important
At this stage,
tomorrow?
It's not necessarily that case. He really has to get a lot out of New York. So just winning, in terms of majority vote, not enough. He has to get a lot of those
Landslide.
delegates.
That's amazing,
So
Marco.
it's been a fascinating time over the last couple of weeks while there's, we've got blanket advertising on TV and everything else.
Yeah.
And then, of course, tomorrow they're going to ignore us completely because it's over and done.
Oh, yeah. Billy, do you have an opinion on that with the Bernie thing?
I think that what's going to happen is that Sanders is going to win. But it's not going to be obvious at first. They're going to discover that there's a rigged vote. It's going to create a massive scandal, and it's going to disenfranchise a whole bunch of Democratic voters who are not going to vote for Hillary in the general election, because why would they? So unless they can fix up the rigged election result, then she's going to win it, but it'll be rigged. I guarantee it.
Wow, what do you think, Marco?
So I don't have an opinion on the rig. At this time of year before a primary, you always have a bunch of people who go, I didn't select it. Because the weird system is in New York, you have to nominate which party you're aligned to.
Yeah.
And then you get to vote in the primary. And if you say you're independent, then you don't get to play in the primary at all.
And I heard...
A lot of the
That's
Sanders
weird.
supporters who sort of mark themselves down as independent are now finding out that they can't vote in the primary.
Yeah, and I heard
But
that
that's just New York State.
you have to
but
nominate... Sorry.
I think Sanders is going to pull a lot of votes, and I agree with Billy on one thing, which is what I think is going to be really hard is if Sanders doesn't win. I think Hillary Clinton is going to have a huge problem trying to get those Sanders voters to show up in November.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
that's a
going to
good
make
point.
the difference.
Yeah, I reckon you're right on the money
Absolutely.
with there.
Yeah.
Marco, thank you,
Billy's-
lovely.
Yep.
And,
Thanks, Marco.
And thank you to Penny.
Thank you, Penny.
You
Thank you, Penny.
you guys rock.
Yeah. And
All right, guys.
And we love the spreadsheet. Penny did a spreadsheet
Yeah.
for us.
Oh, yeah.
On our shows because we're pretty much useless.
And talk for yourself.
and Penny did, and it's awesome. It's got all links and.
I know.
everything.
But you
You're
didn't
very
read it, did you?
clever.
Hey?
You didn't read it, though.
No, but I was, yeah.
But he
I have
liked
an
it.
excuse. I have an
Next
excuse.
week you need to read it.
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Thank you for bringing a very organised, cool and happening New York edge to our get-go today. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it, Marco and Penn.
I feel...
Is that a nice way of saying anal retentive?
No!
Absolutely.
It's happening, energised, right on the money.
It's
Yeah.
badge to be worn proudly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic thing we're doing here.
It is.
We've had
It is.
people
It
asking what we're doing as they go past.
Yeah.
Go to getgo.today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
We were on... I got back from the week and opened up Facebook on Saturday, and there were 1,000 people talking about us. That's what the Facebook said. Oh, it's amazing.
Well, let's give them
There you
something to
go.
talk about. Boom, boom.
Yeah, dong.
Cool.
Sorry,
Thanks, Marco.
can't help
myself.
Thanks, Penny.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.
See you from New York.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Yay!
Woohoo!
Hey, we're getting good at that.
So, Billy, you're on Facebook now. Anything coming in? You got any any
Nothing's
people
coming
tuning in?
No, they're not
Oh.
there, but we can say hello to Dennis.
Dennis.
Who's Dennis?
Hayes. Dennis Hayes is an old rock and roller who I met in Sacramento. We used to have a production company called HMS Productions. Hayes Marshall Spears.
Ooh.
And we gave the Ray Peterson Humanitarian Award every year. The first year went to Ray Peterson. You know the guy that sang, "Tell Laura I love her."
Oh, God. My father sings that when he's smashed still. Oh, I know that song.
Yeah, and then we gave it to Smokey Robinson and the Miracles.
Awesome.
And then we gave it to Tommy Rowe. Sweet little Sheila, you know it when you see her.
Oh, wow.
Et cetera, et cetera. That was all we ever did.
Okay, well, big shout out and big hello. Is
Hi,
he
Dennis.
watching?
Yeah,
Hey,
he's
Dennis.
watching. Yeah,
Thank
he's
you for watching us. So, can I hear about what you guys are up to with this film that we tuned into last week? You got a cupcake halfway down your phone. So, can you give us a lowdown what you and Bernie are up to, please? Stoneking.
Bernie and I have been developing a whole new program for Randwick TAFE. It's called Sydney Institute of Film Academy. And it's about creating opportunities for students to make long-form dramas, features, documentaries, television series, pilots, everything, and actually detuning the whole thing so that the learning doesn't really, I mean, the classroom becomes less and less and less important, and actually making stuff is what we're on about. So drama is a language for presenting emotional energy, and a scene is a sentence. So obviously the more scenes you make, the more sentences you're able to articulate,
Right.
the better you're going to be more fluent at the language. So this is what we're doing.
Amazing. Can we have a little look at some behind-the-scenes action?
Set it up, the dog.
Oh, here,
Okay, well
Jamie's got
this
it.
is what we've been filming down in Bynalong, and it's a dog going into its a doghouse.
Well, we had a prop dog house, which you
Yeah,
see now
prop
going
dog
in.
house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the local dog
That actually lived in the house.
lived in the house.
But was not part of the movie.
Not
No,
part of
because
the
the
movie.
dog in the movie is supposed to be dead.
Yeah, right. So
okay.
this
Or not
dog.
be there.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So the dog was just going.
Yeah, there it is.
So the dog just
got
decided-
in and it claimed the house.
I don't want
it
them
knew.
taking over my premises.
Yeah.
I'm going to get in here and stay in
You know what he
here.
was saying? Where's my check, bitches?
Hilarious.
Probably.
So the dog's not used to living in a dog house, but it knew that that's where it wanted to go. I find that really amazing.
That's hilarious.
And here's one of the directors now trying to coax the dog out of the... Because we can't have a dog in there when we're shooting it, because it's empty. Come on, come
So
out.
these are all students. that
Yeah,
are-
all
yeah,
students.
yeah.
This is a night shoot.
It's hilarious.
Quite a few night shoots.
And so this is TAFE. This isn't some kind of dodgy college or anything like this.
No,
this
no,
is
no.
this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
TAFE.
And it's a full feature that you guys have
Yeah,
written.
it's a full
Yeah,
feature
yeah.
called Australian Spring. This is
Yeah.
1/4 of it. It's a multi-plot drama made up of 4 stories intercut to tell the story of one long Australia Day weekend.
How amazing. And when will it be finished?
I
When will
haven't
you
asked that,
edit?
yeah.
And when can we see it? And where can we see it?
The world premiere will be at Bynalong in the Mechanics Hall in Bynalong. And so, Bynalong first and then the world. It'll do a festival thing first, and hopefully we'll get enough interest at various festivals that we can have at least some kind of commercial release, if not just in Australia, but maybe perhaps overseas as well.
Congratulations. That's a huge thing to be doing, particularly with students too. It's not like you've got complete,
Yeah.
they're learning, and it's
Yeah.
It's big, a feature film.
Yeah, it's
And
huge.
I think that the important kind of takeaway from this is it is TAFE and Randwick TAFE for anybody in Sydney.
Yeah.
And if you want to sort of find out about the course, and it's actually you're not just being taught how to do it, right?
Doing it.
You're actually doing it.
Yeah,
You're
it's
doing
amazing.
it. They learn
Like
by
actually
doing
doing
it.
It's
And
amazing.
Like we are doing with Gitgo.
Yeah.
Because we used to work in broadcast, and we decided we're just going to do
Well,
this.
we've all
Yeah.
been in network television for more than 2 decades, and we learnt by doing it.
That's exactly right. And so often these days, so much
Yeah.
of it is academic. You're not actually able to
Yeah.
get out on the field and do
I think
it.
that's
So
why Billy and I have hit it off.
And we want to show the world that what the TAFE students are doing on no money, virtually no money. Anyone can do. The next feature we're going to do next year is called Rellies, is the working title. We're going to shoot it all on iPhone. The students are going to
amazing.
shoot it all on iPhone. And the reason why is not to be smart, but because what we realize is that by cutting out all the equipment and should it be an F8 or an F9 or should we do this or that?
Yeah.
They waste hours of time discussing technical
Yeah.
things. What we want to do is force them to look at story, look at character, and an iPhone.
You don't know, you just point it. and shoot it.
You have no other choice except to make the characters emotionally compelling.
Yeah.
If they're not working, well, it ain't gonna work because you
Yeah.
can't dress it up
You can't
with
put-
special
yeah.
effects and lighting and all the rest
Yeah,
of it.
that's exciting.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
You got to be quite well known with Gay Baby, which was a documentary.
Baby.
Gay Baby,
Gay
which was
Baby.
a documentary. How long ago was that, Billy? Because it was really quite controversial.
Seems like forever. It opens nationally in America and New York City, Chicago, other places next week.
Awesome.
Wow.
The 26th,
okay.
the 26th, and also in the UK, it's getting major release. The director's flying over for the premiere in New York.
Amazing.
So keep an eye out for it. Gay Baby's been about a 5-year project.
Yeah.
And Maya Newell, the director, and I have been working together since she was 17.
Wow.
She won me in a competition. She won a screenwriting
really?
competition.
That's cool.
And one of the prizes was me. I mean, not me, but,
Your
but
skills.
a workshop that I was running at AFTAs. She also won an iPhone, and later she said that she actually found that she liked the iPhone more. But,
Don't know how, Billy.
but anyway, so we ended up working together. Her first film was called Richard, the most interestingest person I've ever met, a documentary about a Michael Jackson impersonator who ran a toy store and committed suicide
Wow.
during the shooting of the film. And it's just been like
Wow.
madness and stuff since then. We did a film about a adult baby. A 60-year-old guy that owns a huge company and employs 250 people, and he identifies as a 2-year-old girl.
Wow.
And this was
it dresses like a baby.
Yeah, and this is a
Yeah.
documentary about him celebrating his second birthday for
Again.
like the 56
hilarious.
years in a
Yeah.
row
It's hilarious.
at a retreat for adult babies.
That is
Wow.
So what's
so
that all,
funny.
What's that all about?
It's called Two.
Yeah.
Two.
Yeah, Two.
But Gaby Baby,
Yeah.
just getting back to that one, because
Sorry,
that's
yeah.
probably the one that people know most. And if
Yeah.
you don't know about it, I mean, I do because I followed the press and
Yeah.
I was really interested when I saw
Yeah.
it. Can you just give a really brief synopsis?
Well, it's like what Bernie and I are doing. It's a multi-plot story, documentary, observational documentary, and we go in and literally live with 4 families that have gay parents. And we focus on one child in each family who has a journey, a quest, something they want to achieve or overcome.
Yeah.
And so we follow their individual stories, but these are not told sequentially. They're all intercut.
Which is what I love about it.
Yeah, and what happens when you intercut diverse stories is that you start to see how every individual story helps to tell every other story. They're all
Absolutely.
interconnected anyway.
Which is such a wonderful reminder that
Yeah.
we are all connected. And what a
Absolutely.
beautiful way to say
Yeah.
anybody who has a problem with gay parenting, hello.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, like seriously, I think it's a really clever
and
way.
it was always clearly in our minds that the audience for this film was not the gay community. It was people that had trouble with this whole concept that 2 women or 2 men
Yeah.
could, first of all, love each other,
Yeah.
and second of all, be good parents.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to like gloss over, the problems, because all parents have problems. There's always conflict in any family. So that's there as well. So I think it's a really true to life view of 4 very different groups of people who, by the way, before this film was made, didn't even know each other.
Wow. Have they remained friends? Because there's such a synergy.
Yeah. Maya keeps. She keeps having things to do with all of the families.
Well, it's such
and they've
a-
been involved in a lot of the safe schools projects
Yeah.
that she's
Right.
been involved with, and all the rest of it.
It was banned in New South Wales, wasn't it?
New South
For a
Wales
time?
schools.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so crazy.
$1 million worth of publicity.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right,
That was
there you
good.
go.
That
That's
was
how I
that.
found out
That's-
about it.
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah.
then it went international.
Totally. Well, good luck with the opening
Thanks
in
a
New
lot.
York and the States
Yeah.
and London. What we'll do is we'll get Marco and Penny to follow it.
Oh, yeah,
It's
good
journey
idea.
over there as
Yeah,
well.
okay, great.
It's exciting.
Great. Oh, yeah, we'll do that.
In the meantime, a story that's been making the rounds both today and yesterday, I think they've just flown out now actually, is Johnny Depp and Amber Heard being in Australia for the court case, Amber's court case about bringing Boo and Pistol, the dogs,
Boo and
illegally
Pistol, yeah.
into Australia. Can we have a little look at this fantastic
Oh, so
piss
fine.
take
Yeah.
on their video?
Yep, here we go.
Here we go.
Australia is a wonderful island with a treasure trove of unique plants, animals, and people.
It has to be protected.
Australia is free of many pests and diseases that are commonplace around the world. That is why Australia has to have such strong biosecurity laws.
And Australians are just as unique, both warm and direct. When you disrespect Australian law, they will tell you firmly.
I am truly sorry that Pistol and Boo were not declared. Protecting Australia is important.
Declare everything when you enter Australia.
Great, guys. That was great. I reckon people will think we're real friendly.
Oh, isn't she amazing?
With a gun.
I love
only
it.
noticed that
I love
then.
it.
Yes,
Well,
I will.
Barnaby Joyce, of course, put that video up of Amber and Johnny saying sorry, which is just, ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, the two of the most beautiful looking people in the world sitting there, like they're just being forced to say things so that they're not, they don't have to pay thousands of dollars in fine. And then this fantastic young girl comes in and does this little piss take edit, which I love.
it. Community Channel. If you want to look it up on YouTube, Community Channel. She's awesome. She's great.
Is she? Oh, good. Oh, we got an angry Aussie version.
We got an angry Aussie version.
I love angry Aussie.
Let's
check it out.
Let's check this out. Let me turn that up.
G'day viewers. Some of what I'm about to tell you might not sound plausible, but this is a real thing that happened in Australia today. Hollywood stars Johnny Depp and Amber Heard were forced to make a video, possibly at gunpoint, saying that Australia's biosecurity is very important, you must respect it, declare everything. Why did they have to do that? Well, this man, seen here looking perfectly rational and reasonable, threatened to murder their dogs if they didn't. You might think I'm exaggerating. That is what happened. See, when Depp was shooting Pirates of the Caribbean in Australia, his partner illegally brought dogs into Australia without putting them through proper quarantine. This is actually serious. When it became weird is when the government minister responsible for that type of thing straight out of the gate said, I'm going to murder your dogs. I get it, Barnaby, you're old school, you want to look tough, but if your first negotiating tactic is to murder someone's dogs, where do you go from there if that doesn't put them off? You can't say murder their kids. I will. I'll straight up murder their kids. No, you can't, Barnaby, and everyone knows you can't. And technically, you could have killed their dogs. That would have been within the law. It just would have been weird and possibly psychopathic. By the way, this man isn't from the fringes. He is the leader of the coalition partner, the National Party. He's the Deputy Prime Minister. So when our Prime Minister, Malcolm Turnbull, leaves the country, he's technically in charge. This man is saying, I don't believe this is happening. The rest of us feel the same way, Johnny. This man is saying, I'm going to murder your dogs. This man is saying, am I in the Twilight Zone? This man is saying, what kind of fucked up dog is that? This man reminds me of one of those POWs who gets paraded for a press conference and blinks out torture in Morse code with their eyes. This man reminds me of the movie character who says, it puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again. Biosecurity is very important in Australia, and Barnaby wants to be on top of it. I think the answer is just a big picture of Barnaby. Everyone who comes into the country, as they're going through customs, there's just this giant picture of Barnaby, and next to it says, declare everything, or I'll fucking murder your dogs.
Oh, angry Aussie. We love your passion. We love your kookiness.
Yeah,
Thanks, Bernie, for getting us
He's
onto
one of my
that.
favourite
Yes.
YouTubers.
Yeah, he's friggin' hilarious. Talking about favourites, I'm a big fan of Stephen Fry, and once again he's been in the news for for saying things that are very insensitive. He actually said about victims of sexual abuse, self-pity is the ugliest emotion, you should grow up. Now he did this, here he is. This is actually a really great meme that we found that we thought would be
sorry
good.
for himself.
Yeah. Whilst you've got to take the whole context of what he was saying, because he did a TV interview, it wasn't just that, he was talking a lot of other things, and it made sort of sense. When you break it down, those words are incredibly insensitive, and there's been an outrage in the media. And I really feel for him, because remember we talked about when the Oscars was on, and he said something about Jenny, the girl that won the costume design BAFTA, saying, oh, she usually dresses like a bag lady, and everybody came down on him. Again, it's like the poor guy can't say a friggin' thing without the PC police coming down on him.
Well, it's comedy misinterpreted, huh?
Well, this particular time isn't. With Jenny it was.
Oh, okay.
So this is, but people are so hypersensitive, and I absolutely respect that. But when you take someone's words out of context...
Yeah, I think the context was, and I could have this wrong, but I think in plays, in movies, in theatres, like in Shakespeare, people get killed and women get raped as part of the story. And I think his point was, well, we still got to fucking do the scene. I understand that that affects you and you feel for it, but so what? Do we not do it?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is with it...
It just chose really fucked up way to say it.
And bad language. And the thing is, we are living in a time where the lid of sexual abuse and has been lifted. Thank God. But there's been a Pandora's box of, generation upon generation of abuse. And it's a very scary, terrifying and exposing time, as also an empowering time for victims to say, this is it, it's got to stop here, whatever. So if any time it's being talked about, there does have to be a certain level, I suppose, of intellectual sort of nous to... And he's such a bright guy.
Well, yeah, well, you have to... If you take things out of context, you can make anything sound like anything.
Well, that's exactly right.
And you need to have the intelligence to put it in context and go, was that across the line or wasn't that across the line? And, even if you disagree with somebody, they're still entitled to their point of view.
Yeah.
I think. And, and it also raises the question of, as we go further and we try and get rid of prejudice altogether, when as a woman, if you're treated equally, that also means that goes two ways, and also men being treated equally goes two ways. If men, so many men commit suicide out of divorce. Do women get treated differently? The whole women and children first thing. Like I read somewhere, there was a bombing in somewhere, and it was the women and children were all killed. Well, what about the men? Do they not count? Like children count, but shouldn't women and men be the same?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean? Shouldn't we be the same? Yeah. Shouldn't we be the same?
Well, that's what we're pushing for, because essentially as a feminist, I say I actually want equality. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah,
I'm asking to be
absolutely.
treated equally in every way as a human. That's it.
And we all should be.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, we all should be. We all should be treated equally.
But in a way, I mean, I disagree with that to a certain extent, because I understand.
It is a flawed argument.
I understand what you're saying, but the point is that if you look at violent crime, and particularly domestic violence, I mean, the great majority of it is done by men against women.
Yeah, that's very
I agree.
And so I can't stand men that go, oh, but it happens to us too. I mean, that's so undignified and so piss weak.
Well, you know what?
Just keep silent. Just say, yes, it's true. Yeah. Women suffer. We should rise up against this.
You know what? Thank you for saying this, because I have a friend who is suffering from abuse, and her husband actually did harm her the other day. And it's a really tough one. Yeah, it's really.
But men have to.
But he is like, but you provoked me and you put your fingers up at me and you did this and that, and it's like
no equivocation,
no excuses.
No.
Yeah. There's no excuse for violence.
None.
And I don't care.
Where the argument of everybody being equal comes unstuck is the physicality of it. Like if you look at spiders, and I like you to use this metaphor, the female spider is bigger and kills the male, right? And physically, men are able to inflict more damage on women because of the physical size of men, right?
Where are you going with this?
Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah. No. So
that and the fact that they are emotional cripples, most of them. They do not know how to exteriorize internal states of being in constructive and creative ways.
And unfortunately, we have a culture that has continued to perpetrate that for man, and it goes back centuries, and we are just hoping, and it's women who have little boys. We need to teach our little boys to communicate, and we also have to keep ourselves in check, not to get things from our little boys that we're not getting from our husbands or partners. There's a whole lot of psychology, I think, that plays out in that. But I couldn't agree with you more, Billy.
But a man, if he's 6'4", massive, and he goes to physically do something to you, to rob you, to do whatever, right? How are you going to physically stop that? Because forget about intellect. Intellect doesn't exist when you're in that situation of danger.
Yeah.
Right, and that's where the whole argument and everything like that comes unstuck, because there is that physical difference. It exists. Men are bigger and stronger physically. The muscles, the bones, everything. They're taller. I mean, this is obviously statistically speaking and everything like that, because there are anomalies to it. And intellect doesn't play a part. No, but when you're in that moment where you're going to die, or you're not going to die, and I think there needs. obviously there's times when intellect obviously plays an enormous part, and we've got to people just have to stop fucking being idiots.
Well, I think Billy's
And
point too is that men have to actually start expressing themselves, their feelings, their thought, their concepts, their questionings, in so many different ways. Men have to express themselves, and society has to be set up so that men can express themselves, and it comes back to the culture of the family.
That's my point about us being equal. It's like, well, I want to express myself.
Yeah.
I want to do all those things too, you know, but you can't, right?
That'll be my phone. Someone's ringing.
Silent.
Let go. Thank you.
On silent, and I forgot.
Oh.
That's all right. You okay? We still on?
Yeah.
Good.
But we need to be able to express ourselves as well. You know?
I know. Well, can I just
Because
talk?
how can and then how can people stop being dickheads if they
Yeah, of
you know what I
course.
mean?
Well, this is why it's good. We've got forums now. You can express yourselves. Good. That was a good rant.
Who was that?
Grant Hackett has been in the media
Oh,
for his nipple tweaking.
Really? Let me find it.
Oh, God, didn't you hear this?
No.
Okay, it was on a Virgin flight from Adelaide to Melbourne, and apparently there were two guys sitting, and one of the guys put their seat back.
Oh, yeah.
And Grant put his hand through the chair and tweaked his nipple.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Nipple tweaker.
a nipple tweaker.
Yeah.
And apparently the guy that had his nipple tweaked said he felt incredibly violated,
Yeah.
and that Grant called and apologised for the incident, and Grant said he'll make a donation to Martin's favourite charity. That
Nipple
big.
tweakers anonymous.
Right?
The price of nipple tweaking.
But what is it with that? Like, seriously? And then I did some research. Apparently there's like aeroplane rage from people who get really pissed off when people in front of chairs back. Like they lose their temper and they get verbally and physically aggressive. And it comes back to that whole thing. How about you learn to control your feelings or communicate and find other ways of expressing yourself? Now, we teach our children, don't use your hands. Frustrated, you find your words, not your hands.
Yeah, I misinterpreted that.
Yeah, Where did Grant Hackett, did he get that lesson? Did he miss it? Is it the sleeping pill addiction or the alleged addiction? Was it the wines in the business class lounge? I mean,
We don't know. We don't have any idea what was going on. in his
That's
mind.
right.
He might have had too many drinks.
well, that's what I just said.
know,
Like, but
yeah.
who does still?
We don't know.
I-
Idiots do it, and they're everywhere.
He blamed
One
his
of the-
woman though, because he gone through some trouble at home.
No, that was ages ago. He's not with a woman.
Right.
But he blamed the going through the troubles at home years ago on this incident.
Yeah, I thought that's what I read. Yeah.
Oh, maybe. See if you can find it.
Yeah, so.
Was that a bit
Oh no,
interesting?
no! It's because he didn't make Olympics.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Oh, so...
Yeah, so and he was flying home and he was like
Well,
frustrated.
I read that he
But he's been
didn't
losing a lot lately.
Well, I read that he was never going to be in the Olympic team, but he wanted to get on the commentary team for Channel 7.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
but as Billy said, we don't know, do we?
We have no idea. And why would we give him any airtime anyway?
I just
Not
wanted
enough.
to say nipple twerking.
Yeah.
Tweaking.
Yeah.
That's all I
Tweaking,
wanted to
yeah.
say. That tickled my fancy.
Nipple tweaking or nipple twerking?
I don't know. Probably tweaking is better
Tweaking's
than twerking.
better with Grant Hackett. He could never twerk. Twerk is much more substantial.
And can't express their nipples anyhow.
Yeah, which is part of the problem, I think. It's why they're so repressed. Only kidding. I take it back. Don't Stephen Fry me, all right?
Only kidding. That was good.
It was a joke.
Yeah.
It was a joke. Hey, do you guys want to talk about anything else before we tune out for the...
Sex.
All right, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to talk about sex, baby.
Bernie?
What?
Oh, Jesus.
For me?
Oh, God.
Oh,
Here we go.
Jesus. Bernard, have you got something to say?
weekend away, you know.
What, your sex?
No.
So that happens on the weekends.
I just like to say that, you know, I hope that people will find out what we're doing at CIFA, Sydney Institute Film Academy.
Yeah, we'll give them a big shout
and we
out.
want people to come and be part of this
And the link
journey.
is in the comment section.
Yeah, it's about, in the comment section, we're revolutionizing the whole concept of film. It's not just about teaching people, it's about, there are no teachers. Every in the program, and we want to change the way Australia makes stories for Australia.
And now everyone
love
can
that.
do this. Everyone can do it, not some kid who
And-
wants a career.
And how that
Just without
connects
career.
in
That's
is
awesome.
that's one of the sexiest things that you
Yeah, I agree.
So
Thank you.
we're teaching the art, not the app, but we're using the app to make the art.
Like that
yeah,
burn.
yeah.
That's
There you
original,
go.
you heard it first here.
Yeah, we did. Well, congratulations. We cannot wait the film ends up, and also we'll keep following Gaby Baby, and we'll
Great.
get Marco to tune in from the States. Thank you for coming on to Get Go
Okay,
today.
thank
Such
you.
a treat.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Thank you,
you.
Bernster.
Evening.
See
Bye.
you. Bye.